There's a new show coming. It's called Dynamo is Dead. Do you want to tell us why it's called that? Why is it called Dynamo is Dead?
That being Dynamo was killing me inside. It was too much to live up to, and it had a big toll on my mental health. If I'd have kept going the way I was going, we might not be having this conversation. I might not be alive anymore.
I'm here today with somebody I've looked up to all my life. This is somebody who's been a massive inspiration for me and for magicians around the world, and it's a huge honor that I get to do this. Welcome to the show. The
Thank you.
first question that I have for you is, what do I address you as? Do I call you Stephen? Do I call you Dynamo?
I mean, we've been friends for a little while, so I think you
Yeah,
you can call me Stephen.
I call you
Yeah,
Stephen.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
there's a new show coming. It's called Dynamo is Dead, which I'm very, very excited for. Do you want to tell us why it's called that? Why is it called Dynamo is Dead?
Yeah, I had a lot of things happen in my life. I went through a bit of a dark time, and I felt like I, I felt like trying to live up to that being Dynamo was killing me inside. It was too much to live up to, and it had a big toll on my mental health. And basically, if I'd have kept going the way I was going, we might not be having this conversation. I might not be alive anymore. So there came a point where I had to make a change, and I was working with my therapist, and I had to I had to finally let people see Stephen, because I think I've been hiding behind the mask of Dynamo for years, hiding my insecurities, hiding my flaws, and I think it's taken this dark time to make me feel comfortable to just actually think, you know what, this is Stephen, this is who I actually am. If people don't like it, that I can't control that. So the part of me that the Dynamo part of me that everybody knows, the best parts of that are part of Stephen anyway. But there's a whole lot of Stephen that people haven't got to see, and there's so much more magic that I want to share with that. So this might be the last Dynamo show, but it's not the last time you're ever going to see Stephen perform magic. And during that transition in my life, for me, my grandma, who got me into magic with my grandpa, she passed away. And it made me realize that, you know what, it doesn't feel right me continuing to be Dynamo when the people that made Dynamo in the first place, that gave me that support in the beginning, they're not with me anymore. So because of that, I felt like it's time to put Dynamo to rest with my nana and
Um,
start afresh. So it's quite good because it's exciting, because although I've had an incredibly long, crazy career performing as Dynamo, I feel like this is just the beginning of my time as Stephen. And that's exciting because I've got the hunger back. I've got that energy inside of me. And I'm just super excited for people to see where this journey in magic takes us.
Wow, it's so touching to hear as well, because I think talking about mental health with magic isn't something that a lot of people end up doing. I'm so sorry for the difficult phase that you went through, and I'm so glad that you're out of it and people are getting to see the real you. Um, how do you think that's affected your style of magic? Because you say that it's kind of sort of held you back because you've been behind this enigma of Dynamo almost, and now you're sort of coming out of it. Has that affected the way you perform? Has that affected the way you are as a performer?
1,000,000%. I think I think the biggest hurdle I faced was my ego. I try not to have like a big ego, but as a performer, as an artist, you have an ego. You have a value that you put on your work and yourself, which is only going to manifest itself in a little bit of an ego. And I think that was the biggest thing holding me back, because I felt the pressure of having to live up to the ego, or the alter ego of Dynamo. And what I realized when I stepped back from it all, I realized the magic's not about me. It's not about Dynamo. It's not about Stephen, even. The magic doesn't even exist without you guys, without the audience, without a spectator. If there's no audience there, then I'm just standing there messing with my cards.
Yeah,
There's nothing magical about
yeah.
that. So I think you'll see in the performances in Dynamo is Dead, 90% of the magic, it's my guests doing the magic, because I wanted to show them that you don't have to be Dynamo to be magical.
Yeah.
So magic can be shared by anybody, but magic can also be felt by anybody. For me, magic's an emotion that you experience when you witness something incredible that you can't exactly put into words. And that feeling can be given by a teacher teaching a pupil how to do something they didn't know how to do, which changes their entire life because they now have a new skill. That can be given by helping an old lady cross the road. It can be by giving a compliment to somebody when they're having a bad day. You know, I think I looked at magic from the wrong perspective. I looked at what can magic do for me when I should have been looking at what can I do for magic that can help other people. And
Yeah.
that's how things have changed. And that's where now my performances now are much more about everybody else and less about me, to the point where, like I say, the best magic in this show, I don't even do it. The guests do it. Dave Chappelle does the magic. Coldplay do the magic. Stephen Bartlett does the magic. Tyson Fury, Demi Lovato, Tony Hawk, all these people, they're part of the show, but the show
Wow.
wouldn't be magic without them.
Yeah. I think there's something that I also say when people come up to me and say when they see a show, their first idea is, oh, there's magic in front of us. But I always think that the magic's in front of us because we are getting to see these incredible people do some incredible
Yeah.
things. And I think I echo that sentiment completely.
I,
Um,
I
yeah, sorry.
remember I remember when I was talking to some of my team about, like, what type of magic we're gonna do. And they were asking me, like, what do you want the reactions to be like? What do you think they're gonna be like? And I'm like, well, in all of my other shows, the people at the end, they normally go, how did you do that,
Yeah,
Dynamo? I'm
yeah,
like, well, you know what? I don't want them saying that. I want them at the end to be saying, how did they do it? Like, if I'm a spectator, it'd be like, and I've just done this thing. I'm not like, how did you do that, Dynamo? I'm like, how did I do that?
yeah,
Because then it might open up a part of their mind where they think, well, if I can do that, what else can I do?
yeah,
And that for me is magic, because that is literally giving somebody a portal into another world.
absolutely. Yeah. I think they get to experience something that we've been experiencing since we were kids. And I think that's a very special thing to see.
Yeah.
There's also, I think there's a long journey that last couple of years, you've taken to come up with this concept of Dynamo's Dead. And I know there are a lot of themes that you've explored within this show. They were telling me there are about 12 themes, there's 12-step journey that you've taken to come up with this. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I won't go into too much detail, but like in on the 6th of November in 2020, I tried to take my own life, and just things just got way too much. And my wife, thankfully, she found me, and then she got me the help that I needed, from the therapist and from the Priory, which is a rehabilitation place in England, in London. And basically, my therapist, he recommended me to read the 12 Steps book, which is usually recommended for people with addiction problems. Now, I've never done drugs, or I don't drink alcohol, because of my illness. So I wasn't reading it to overcome an addiction, but I read it, and it's 12 short stories about how people have overcome different phases of troubles in their life, but to help get past the addiction that they were dealing with. And I took that blueprint and I applied it to myself, to my own circumstances, and realized that, it was like a blueprint for me to get my life back on track. But then I started reading stories about people outside of the 12 steps, people who'd been through similar struggles that I was going through, people like the people that I filmed with on the TV show. And their stories gave me hope, and they showed me a different type of magic. And that inspired me to make a show where I was going through my 12 emotional stages to get my life back, but also sharing these incredible stories of these people who found magic in their own special way. And I actually ended up filming with 14 different guests. So
Wow.
there's 14 guests on the show, not 12. But you'll see each person, they're not just it's not just a celebrity on a show for the sake of having a celebrity. Like, there's lots of shows that do that, right? It's Tony Hawk is there talking about when he lost his ability to skate. and what that did for him. When I lost my ability to perform magic because of my arthritis, because of my illness, that was like the worst feeling ever. And I didn't know what to do with it and how to deal with it. Tony Hawk went through that in his own world, and he explains what it was like for him and how he found a way to overcome it. You know, when when you know, there's a guy called Raphael Rowe in the show. He got put in jail. He got a life sentence for a crime he didn't commit, and
Um,
managed to, whilst he was in jail, he found the strength to study the law, to find a way to fight for his own freedom from the inside. And now
um,
he's free, and like it really interested me in how these people put in these difficult circumstances can somehow find something magical inside of them to not let it be the end of them. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And I realized that although there was things in the Dynamo life that needed to come to an end, it didn't need to be the end of Stephen Frayne. If anything, it could be the beginning of something new. So for me, the symbolism behind the burial and putting Dynamo to bed and moving on from it, it means so much more to me than just a stunt. You know, the magic in this show is so much more meaningful. Like I feel like I found a purpose for magic, which is greater than me and greater than the magic I've done in the past. I look back at some of my old work now and feel that it didn't have the purpose, it didn't have the right intention behind it, whereas this show does. And I think hopefully it will show magic in a new light, but also it will open up people's minds to what is actually possible. And ultimately, what I really want is it just to help people, to let them know that they're not alone, and that you know it doesn't matter what walk of life you come from. We can all go through struggles and problems, but we all have the capacity to overcome it. And
uh,
yeah, like I'm just super grateful that I'm getting to do this again, and that I've taken something so negative in my life and turned it into something positive that people get to see. They're going to get to see me at my weakest, but by the end of the show, they'll hopefully see me stronger than I've ever been in my entire life.
that just sounds incredible. I think I didn't even know that you went through this, and I'm so sorry to hear about it. I'm glad that you're fine now. But what really inspires me as a performer as well, that you took something so negative and you took something so difficult for you and you turned it into something positive, and you found that in other people as well. And I think that's so important for anybody watching as well, to know that you're not alone in this. I think it is very we as performers, when we go out and perform for people, it's just to put a smile on their face. And I think with this show that you're doing, I think it'll give hope to so many more people that they aren't alone, because them seeing somebody like Tony Hawk unable to skate, which was his life, you not being able to do magic, which was your life. I'm sure there are people in the world right now going through things which is their life, which they're unable to do. And I really hope it gives them the hope that they can continue doing whatever that they love. It's not the end of the road. I think it's very inspiring to me. There's also something I read. You're pulling off an incredible stunt, which stays on the poster anyway. You're burying yourself alive,
Yes,
which to the layperson just sounds insane. Do you want to tell us what you're doing there, or is it pretty
yeah.
much on the poster?
You know what? It was crazy because when the show came out in the UK, it came out the same night that I did the burial. So it was actually live
Wow.
on the
Oh
night.
wow.
And it was just, you know, on one side, it was the scariest thing I've ever done. But on the other side, it was something I felt I needed to do to have closure on the part of my life I wanted to forget about or move on from. So yeah, it's it's not an easy watch.
Yeah.
Uh, Spoiler alert, you're watching this, so I survived. And I've come out the other side. But I think I've done the buried alive as a stunt that that Houdini wouldn't even attempt in the way that I've done this. So it's the first time in the world it's ever been done like this. I did the burial without a coffin,
Whoa.
so the
You
soil was just
just went in the soil.
5 tons of
Whoa.
soil straight onto me. So
Whoa. That
one
sounds
cap, one
intense.
camera shot, like no edits. So yeah, and I actually I spoke to an incredible an incredible magician escapologist to help me in this challenge. A guy called Jonathan Goodwin, who you probably know him.
Yeah.
But he suffered he was in an incredible, horrible accident. And it stopped him from being able to do what he loved. So he was kind enough to give me advice and help me get through this, as well as some other incredible magicians like Anthony Britton, an incredible escapologist. He attempted this years ago and failed and had to be pulled out. So it's a very scary, real thing, but I think it was needed. It was the one thing in the show that I think is about me, because it's about me having closure on a part of my life that I want to move on from. But it allows me to rise again and start this new chapter in my life as Stephen from the ground up, literally.
That sounds incredible. I cannot wait to see this. Um, there's a lot. Why are you doing this though? I mean, why did you feel the need to bury yourself alive? And why is it that you came up with this particular concept to do in this particular moment? Is it the symbolism of how you were pretty bad? You were on the 6th of November, like you said, you tried to take your own life. Is that like a symbolism that you're trying to do, that you came out of
Yeah,
that? Is it something?
it's there's a myriad of reasons, but ultimately it is kind of a metaphor for rising again. And at, at the time when I was going through it, there was a time where I wished the earth would just open up and swallow me up. I didn't want to be alive. And, when I first decided I was going to burn myself alive, I'll be honest, I had no fear, because at the time, in that moment, I didn't care if I got out. But when it came to doing it for real, and I'd filmed this show, things started to get better in my life. And I was like,
Wow.
man, I've actually got to do this. And now I'm scared,
Yeah.
because but I've committed, and I can't let people down. And I want to, I need to do this for myself. I need to do this to move on in my life. Like, it was when my grandma died that I made the decision to do it, because I was dealing with a lot of difficult things before she died, when she was still alive. And she was always my rock. And then when she died, I was like, well, I mean, now I don't know what to do. But then I was like, you know what? Maybe it's time to bury Dynamo with my nana, with my grandpa, because they were the ones who inspired me when I was growing up to be Dynamo in the first place. So if they're no longer with us, then it feels like it's time to
Very
put that to
dynamite.
rest and start
Wow.
again.
And I
And
think as a result of that, you have sort of new social media profiles as well.
yeah, yeah, I buried them as well. I started from scratch. I started Dynamo's Dead social
Yeah.
media.
Yeah.
That's what it's called at the moment. I might change it in the future. I'm not sure, but yeah, Dynamo is dead. It was quite daunting starting from zero
Yeah.
again.
I can
Um,
imagine.
Thankfully, my fans have kind of tracked me down and found me there, and they're supporting my new content. And I'm trying to post lots of new content all the time. I feel reinvigorated. I've fallen back in love with magic,
Yeah.
and you know what it's like. You've been a performer for many years.
Yeah.
The more years you're in it, the more it's hard to kind of keep that hunger and that fire inside. But since I've let go of the old me, the new me, I feel like I'm at the beginning of my career.
That's
You know,
incredible.
I just feel like I've got so much magic I want to share, and a weight has been lifted off me. Like, you asked me, you know, about, like, the reason for burying myself alive. I'm like, well, most people, when they hit rock bottom, that's when they find their way back.
Yeah.
For Dynamo, when I hit rock bottom, I realized I needed to put myself 6 feet deeper before I could really re-emerge.
Wow.
And the metaphor is real. Like, this isn't a stunt, and it's something that symbolizes something exciting.
Wow.
Don't think about me going in the hole. Just think about me getting out, because
That's incredible.
the
I can't
person that's
wait.
on the other side has so much magic to share. And I genuinely can't wait for people to see what's coming. Even beyond Dynamo is Dead. What comes after this.
Yeah.
But you need to watch Dynamo is Dead to understand the full
Understand.
story. I've put everything into this show. It's probably the hardest show I've ever had to make in my life.
Wow.
But I think hopefully you'll feel and see that effort and the energy and that pain and that passion. And you're going to see parts of me that you've never seen before. And it's quite
Wow.
scary to think that I'm having to put myself out there like this. But I feel like India's always on my back. So hopefully, I can have your support now because Dynamo
You
is
will
it's incredible.
100%. You will 100% have everybody's support in India. I think this is something that everyone's looking forward to. I'm personally looking forward to. Chatting to you right now has made me realize how self-aware you are as an artist and how you've come out of the difficult situation that you've been in, which is so incredibly inspirational. And before you go, you've shared so much magic with the world. It's only fair that we get to share a little bit of magic with you. This is
Amazing.
something that I've been waiting to
Oh,
do
I'm
for a really
excited.
long time. So let's try this. If I ask you, and again, this is my idea is not to fool you because you're a magician, is just to share a little bit of magic with you as well because you've done so
I
much for
also think
us.
I think magic isn't about fooling people. Magic
Exactly.
magic's an emotion that we feel when we witness something incredible, but we can't put into words.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Everybody watching has the capacity to share magic with somebody.
Absolutely.
You can put a smile on someone's face. That's magical. So, like,
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm excited. I love magic, and I'm
All
excited to
right.
see what you show me.
All right. Let's go. If I ask you, Danmo, to name any card at all, what would you say?
I'm going to say the Jack of Spades is my favorite card.
It's your favorite card. Oh, cool. But we didn't set this up. I didn't ask you to help me out or anything of that
Oh,
sort. Perfect. So if I ask you, give me a number, let's say up to 15, any number, what would you say?
ooh, I would say let's say 12 because of the 12
Well,
steps in the
because of the
show. Yeah.
12 steps. Perfect. Now, you could have said absolutely any card and you could have said absolutely any number. Again, this is something that we didn't set anything up. And you know as well as I do that if you were with me right now in person, you could be holding this deck right now. But
Yes,
because
yeah, yeah.
I have this here, you
Yeah.
said number 12, yes?
There's no way this is possible, by the way.
And we generally didn't say you said number 12 and you said the Jack of Spades.
Yes.
Let's have a look. That's one. That's two. That's three. That's four. That's five. That's six, seven, eight, nine, 10, 11, and 12. That's 12 cards down. And you said the Jack of Spades. Yes?
Yeah.
That's 12. And that is the Jack of Spades.
It's incredible.
Thank you so much. And you did this. You came up with the number. You came up with the card.
I mean, yeah, this is the feeling I want to give my audience members. You just giving it to me, so thank you for
Oh,
that.
thank you
Magic,
so
magic
much.
is alive. Dynamo is dead, but magic is alive.
Magic is very much alive. Steven is alive. Dynamo is dead. I can't wait for all of you to see it. It's on History TV 18 on the 7th of June at 9 p.m. Thank you so much, Dynamo, for doing this. And I can't wait to see what you bring next.
Hopefully, when I come out to India next, we can do this in person.
100%.
Come on. Wicked.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.